So my name's Sunni Brown, and I'm an information designer, and I own a business called BrightSpot that operates here in Austin. But what you saw me doing was called graphic recording, which is like a slice of the field of information design. For some reason, I end up in social media situations because I work across the board with all kinds of people, and it's funny because they keep mentioning Zappos, and I get to go work with them on Wednesday, and I'm super stoked about it. The people that tend to gravitate to my work are people that are sort of in this field and also non-traditional people. But generally, the response is really, really good. People there's something kind of visceral and human about watching somebody create something in front of you, and that's actually kind of simplistic even. And it's also a powerful way to sort of put those messages in a format that speaks to both sides of your brain, if you will. Because, there's a lot of text on it, so it's not like I'm only drawing images. It's just that I'm enhancing the value of those words by adding imagery. So people, whether they like it or not, they respond to it because people are visually oriented, and they can't get around that because we're wired that way.
Do you have any, personally, do you have any recurring themes or symbols? Do you find yourself gravitating?
No, it's an excellent question. There's a lot of themes come up because if you're in a corporate setting, generally corporations have similar goals, in the sense of generating revenue, aligning projects and teams and so forth. So certainly there are certain ideas that come up regularly: strategy, game plan, roadmap, ROI, So you do build up sort of a graphic vocabulary that I can rely on, which is great because you don't want to be, while you're drawing and recording, it makes your life easier to have what I call a graphic vocabulary that you can just sort of rely on. And then you don't have to make things up on the spot as you go. But once you get better at it, you do that naturally anyway. So, because you can't predict what people say. But you can certainly predict there's certain things that will come up, more probably, yeah. A lot of the messages that I'm capturing will be reinforced later after the event because they're going to send them all in a smaller scale format. And that's actually why they're powerful, because they kind of keep resonating even after it's over.
So what brought you to this? How did you get into doodling or drawing?
Yeah, it's called graphic recording. And it's called that because you're recording like a machine almost, like content that's streaming, and you're doing it graphically, so that's the term. But some people call it visual sketchnoting when you do it like on a notepad. Other people call it visual journaling, whatever. But when you do it large scale, where people can actually see it while you're working, that's called graphic recording. But anyway, so I got into it when I was living in California because there's a ton of people there that do it, of course, like the weirdos, But it's such a highly functional tool that when I saw it at a company called The Grove, I figured, I was a little skeptical, honestly, because I was pretty left-brainy and analytical, not realizing that I was missing a huge part of a learning capability. So that's how I started embracing it, because I started working with it in groups and saw how it's applicable to so many situations. And this is a total plug I'm about to do right now, because I have a visual note-taking webinar coming up. Yeah, it's on May 12th. And it's $100 and it's 3 hours, and there's 3 visual sketchnoting experts. There's a website called bizthink.com, bizthink.com. Got a lot of resources about people who want to be visual thinkers but don't feel like they're, fine artists.
So there's no huge barrier to entry here.
No, are you kidding me? No, I train people all the time. I train personally, individuals, and I train groups. And that's one of the reasons why I'm going to Zappos, is because they might want a company-wide training program, because they want to have all of their employees on some level able to think visually and express themselves visually, because people understand and process information better. In terms of doodling, there's this theory called the dual coding theory, which is basically like images don't compete with text. So you have 2 channels that can process information simultaneously, and those channels are competing. If you have auditory content and text-based content, those channels are competing with each other. But for people who are doodling, you're actually freeing up a part of your brain so that you can absorb things better. So for people to suggest that doodling is wrong in classrooms or board meetings or whatever, they're ass. And they can eat it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have a method of choice? Pencil, pen? What do you normally do?
Markers and pastels when I'm doing large scale, but for my own, like black and white, I don't have a favorite pen. I probably should. I do like those Tombow markers. Those are nice. And I also like the ones that are like paintbrushes, Faber-Castell or something, but they're like paintbrushes, and they're like kind of cartoonist inker types use them. But like I said, I'm not a fine artist, so I don't even have names for my tools. I just use what's around, because it's really the method more than the tool for me.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Or where else have you done this?
Oh, God, I've done it everywhere. In fact, I'm considering taking a break because there's a book that I'm writing with another gentleman named Dave Gray. It's called The Visual Thinking Playbook. Yeah, you know him? He's the Explain CEO. Yeah, he's awesome. He's a real good friend of mine. But we're writing a book together, and it's about giving people tools that are very basic, very fundamental methodologies that anyone can use that are applicable for all the broad types of meetings that people inevitably have to endure. So I'm thinking about taking a break. But yeah, this, as far as the settings where I do this, it's like strategic planning meetings, board meetings, like masterminds, huge conferences, design charrettes. And as far as my clients, I mean, they're just like, I could go on and on about that. My most exciting ones right now is HMSA, which is in Hawaii, Blue Cross Blue Shield. And it's mostly exciting because it's in Hawaii. And they're like, can you come to Hawaii? I'm like, oh, no, don't make me. Yeah, I know. But they're a really cool team, too. And Zappos is super cool. And there's a software company called Pursuit Now that's awesome. They're in Austin. But there's a company called Duarte Design. They have a book called Slideology. And she did Al Gore's PowerPoint presentation. Her name's Nancy Duarte, for An Inconvenient Truth. Her name's Nancy Duarte. And her company hired me to go to TED, which was like, basically I was like, my career is complete. I was like, I don't need to work anymore. I'm done, you know?
Other than that, are there any other dream, like if you could doodle anybody in the world, who
If I could doodle anybody in the world, can they be dead?
Yeah.
I'd like to doodle Bill Hicks. He's one of my favorite comedians. He's dead. Maybe Nelson Mandela. I'd like to do one of his speeches. One of my friends did Barack Obama's inauguration speech. It was really cool. It might be on her. It's on her website.
Oh, I gotta get that link.
Yeah, her name's Brandy Hagerbeck. It's great. But that's a fun question. Somebody else that I would want to. Kofi Annan. People who have a cool message that I think is worth me spending my time doodling, I would probably do that.